Hi, and welcome back. This is the last panel discussion of our event. We've been covering really interesting topics, and we've been covering topics such as sparking innovation, accelerating innovation while staying compliant, and the last subtopic that we've been covering now with the help of Paul, Gèraldine, and Ken is actually how to drive sustainable innovation, how to improve processes to contribute to a more sustainable world. So I'm very happy to have Paul, Gèraldine, Ken, and Annelie on this panel to discuss a little bit more about the topic driving sustainable innovation. And I would like to start with a question to you guys when it comes to tools like simulation tools or virtual twins, or working on a data-driven platform, or working completely data-driven when it comes to managing documents. What do you think? What are the barriers to actually start using these kind of tools? Gèraldine, well, what are your thoughts?
For sure, maybe for a small or big company, there are some barriers, but driving a sustainable innovation is key for the future. Because from medical devices to digital continuity, with virtual twin and virtual human body, at DASI system we have an holistic approach, delivering holistic patient-centric experiences. So what does it mean exactly? It means that now we enter in the fifth stage of the journey, moving from the representation of things to life. So it's really key. Even if you don't want to be, if you don't want to go, the competitor will go. So it's fundamental. And what we call at Dassault System is that the virtual twin experience of human is a way to transform the business and to transform the consumer patient experience. So that's why to leverage, I think, the virtual twin experiences in everything we do, it's to translate complex science and technology into simple human experiences. And that's what we do at the 3D Experience Lab by providing all the 3D application with a global 3D experience platform to all the startups that we accelerate. I think it's key. It's key for the future. It's key because it's a shift in business processes, strategic planning, and in the technological solutions to maybe transform and imagine new model.
Very interesting. And Paul, I would like to ask you, I mean, you've been doing your PhD at the university level, and I know that you used these kind of tools, or at least you were working with, simulation tools in academia. What is your perception when it comes to having access to these kind of tools in academia? Or do you think when did you come across with these kind of tools?
That's an excellent question, and I would also agree with Gèraldine that you would need to make this kind of innovations in a more accessible way. But I think in academic terms, one big hurdle, and that still needs to come, is that we would need to convince the regulatory bodies that simulations are just as good or even better than mechanical testing or actual physical testing. And with regard to access to the tools, luckily the infrastructure is in place that you have access to the tools, but I think the collaboration is still not as good as it should be between different universities, between different bodies, from whether it's the regulatory or hospitals or even funding agencies.
That's very interesting, yeah, because we mentioned that in our earlier panel discussions as well, that, and especially the first one with when we were talking about how to spark innovation and how important it's been when, especially during this pandemic, in order to produce these new vaccines that medical pharmaceutical companies had to work really close together with regulatory organizations to accelerate the development processes. So very interesting to hear your thoughts regarding that as well. Thanks, Paul.
Maybe as a comment first to Gèraldine there, what you said, and I think you complemented it, Paul, with what I see as hurdles is the fact that companies and even universities and the institutions and so on, they lack or they don't have the access to the knowledge, they don't have the experience, and unfortunately not also have the access to the tools. So what you're doing with the lab, with the 3D Experience Lab, is quite fantastic to provide the tools that makes it possible to try this out, because it is a big step to start doing this. And also when you, Paul, now mentioned FDA here as one example, where this has to be approved and this has to be something that they also push for and drive, and not stay back with let's say using paper. It's quite fantastic. I think I need to mention it because we have had even FDA physicians joining this event today. And I know also that Dassault is working quite closely with the FDA to achieve these approvals for the Living Heart project, for instance, and those kind of activities. So,
and not only, if I can add, one of the startups that we have at the 3D Experience Lab called FEOPS, it's a Belgium startups, and they are transforming cardiac images into digital twins of the heart and the substructure. And they improve procedure planning and expand personalized treatment for patients with heart disease. So FEOPS Guided is now authorized by the FDA, and they received their authorization last week or 2 weeks ago. And it's a very good result, because by using the digital twin, they transform completely the approach from the surgeon to the patient. And it's a new way to work. It's a new way to transform the health tech, because with the 3D modelization, we can understand better, and we can predict after, and we can anticipate everything for before doing anything. So yes, it's a new way to engage with every companies.
Quite interesting also to move those images into a true virtual twin is time consuming and very difficult as well. So I'm quite impressed and want to hear more about that when we have time.
Of course. But it's not the only startup, because when we have begun with, it was 6 years ago, with Biomodex. So maybe you have already heard about Biomodex. It's another startups that we supported them on 3D modelization of the organs with the aneurysm, to give the opportunity to the surgeons to train themselves by using organ-specific patient, by 3D printing the organ of each patient. And after, the surgeon can train again before operating. So, as you may know, these startups launched their operation, their innovation. It was 6 years ago, and it runs very well.
Very interesting. Yeah, it's really interesting to listen into the progress that is being made. So, and I guess one interesting topic is, of course, the document management part and how to improve those processes. And Ken, thanks very much for your very interesting presentation and demo regarding how to work in a more data-driven fashion when it comes to this. So when do you think, or when do you believe we can move to, get away from paper-based to more working with, data-driven documents and use them as?
I think it's a really interesting question, and I think we all know that life sciences has been driven by documents for decades. Whether it be CMC and clinical reporting in the ECTD, or whether it be 510Ks or product quality reporting, manuals for maintaining and servicing equipment, etc. There's documents everywhere. And what we did was take a look at that from our history and strategy of model-driven product lifecycle management, was to say, how far can we push that model? You see, we have customers with hundreds of thousands of documents, millions of documents. But when you start to take those documents apart, you realize, actually, they're another expression of the model. And if we have a stability report in CMC, for example, it contains information from the laboratory, which is captured through our OneLab system, that's transported around with Pipeline Pilot, that can be stored in the 3D Experience platform for analytics and for new knowledge. So why don't we use that data to extend the process all the way into the documents? And by doing that, we can provide sustainable improvements in performance around those documents in the first place, but also we unlock the content inside them. And so that that content becomes searchable, discoverable, referenceable, and reusable in other content. And so we're extending the model not just from the PLM, but all the way through to the submission documents that get eventually produced as PDFs and sent to the FDA. So I think the real transformation there is taking those documents, breaking them apart, and turning them into part of the model.
And I could add also that data-driven is really key. For sure, I agree with you. But also by now having Medidata in the Dassault Systèmes portfolio, it's key as well, because we can also integrate all clinical trials.
Yes.
And we know that for our startups, it's a new benefit that we can leverage with them. Because, for example, 2 years ago, we began to accelerate Lucid Implant. Lucid Implant, it's an Indian startup that designing patient-specific implants for people who have cancer or fracture of the face. Mm-hmm. And with virtual planning, surgical guides and custom implants, they can reduce risk and time with greater surgical precision, and reduce hospitals' stay for patients. And they have been using now Medidata for all their clinical trials. And it's really key in the full journey for a company.
Absolutely, and you mentioned full journey there, and I think we are seeing the beginnings of a full journey for biopharma and a full journey for medical device all on the same platform, which is really a first in the industry. And we've been working with Medidata on documents too, and their content management system. And I think what we've seen is that the information that comes out of testing and simulation in the laboratory gets used for the regulatory filing, but also gets used for tech transfer, for pilot plant, for scale up, for outsource, for working with third parties. And what we find companies are doing is they're retyping that information, they're copying and pasting that information. Whereas if we can build a model for that data, we can use that same model all the way through the production process for that full journey. And I think, again, that could be transformative later on in the process, not just in R&D and regulatory.
This, I must say, I mean, in our customer base, we have companies that, of course, like Mölnlycke as one example, that has products that are medical device class products, and they also have pharma products. Same with another customer, B. Brown. Of course, such a huge company has the whole full range, and I think this platform is also going to be more and more used for combination products. So I mean, thinking about that, it's time that we do what you said there, Ken, and really split up documents, work with the different pieces of content, make sure it's approved in their own cycles before anybody puts it together as something that looks like a document again. Because I think this is the way a document should be treated, as a report of data, rather than thinking of it as a fixed paper, that the whole document is something that should be approved as such. Of course, it should probably too, but I like also what you said with reuse. That's where most of our customers will benefit from this new data-driven approach.
Yes, it's a question of security for all.
Yeah. And you mentioned combination products, and of course every biological is a combination product and requires a delivery mechanism. And we find most of our large customers now have some elements of biological, medical device, biopharma, and there's relatively few companies that just focus on one part of that.
Yes, also combining a bit with the AI part and also the document management part, you might be able to take a look at 20-year-old documents that are essentially photo scans of PDFs or photo scans of photo scans, and you could maybe retrieve some lost information.
Absolutely. It's interesting you mentioned that. I didn't mention it in the video, but we have been running a research project of decompiling, if you like, Word documents and scanned PDFs to see if we can derive with machine learning the original ontology of that document. And we can do things like look for similarity and rephrasing across multiple documents and identify where there are reused concepts in multiple documents. So yeah, very interesting, rich data field, that one.
And when we have different, within a company, when we have different teams around the world who want to collaborate within a project, it's really key to have this platform in order to easily collaborate and to share anything. Document as well, but not only the document, it's a 3D models. So people in different discipline can share this 3D model, can comment, can maybe iterate on different things, and it's a really key benefits because any competitors do like that. All competitors can share documents, but having a 3D inside the platform by sharing everything, it's really a key advantage for everyone. So for example, when mechanical engineers want to share to a simulation engineer, it's easy to do. And same when an engineer wants to share to a business manager, it's easier as well. So within a team, when you have different discipline, for me, it's really a way to transform the processes, but to engage with different partners and different people within a company.
It's interesting that you said that, because I think in the future there should be, at least for instance, if we take my research where you have MRI, you have motion capture, you have the simulation part, you have the report itself and everything else. That should all be in a platform where everyone could access, and everyone could have timely access to all of the information, be it results or anything else.
I'm thinking also of the history of PLM. If we think back like CAD vaulting, PDM, PLM, and where we are placing 3D experience, I think also that the data, when you had to look at it as a as a, let's say the data was hidden in a way in a bill of material or hidden in documents. I think this way data comes to life and becomes something that everyone can understand, everyone can relate to, and share the same view of what this is. I mean, most of our customers also have long, tiring sometimes discussions about what is the product, what are we talking about here, and this is easier when you can see it, you can almost touch it, you can almost feel it. That's where we're heading, I think, to create an experience of the product that marketing, regulatory, sales, R&D, everyone can share it. And also between organizations. The more they can collaborate, the better. And we saw a result of that in Elekta's presentation today, where they talked about a collaboration between Elekta and Philips in that case to create a product that is two innovations coming together as a third innovation that is stronger than the other two. So I mean that's exactly what we want to be able to do with this platform.
3D is key, and the 3D it's a common language for everyone. It's an universal language. You don't need to speak. You just need to see, and it's quite easy to understand.
Yeah.
And by using a 3D application, you can see in 360 all the different parts of the 3D model.
Yeah.
Agree. I think we've seen, we've listened to, and we've seen really interesting examples of, how a data-driven way of working, and with the 3D model in as the center actually, shortens the processes, shortens the time of product development, and actually helps accelerate sustainable innovation. And that's been the whole topic of the event, and really like that we have been able to talk about some real cases on how it can be used, a data-driven platform.
I think about something I said this morning in the introduction, that this industry is way behind, and maybe it was tough for some to hear, but it's pretty much a fact. But I also think today we have shown that it's possible, and so many are already doing it. And with what you are talking about, with these different approaches to really drive sustainable innovation, it is possible. And there are good examples that others can learn from, and reuse the ideas and see how they can apply it in their own organization or in their own business. So yeah, I'm really happy with the day, and that everyone has contributed like this.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think there is great potential within this industry, and I think definitely, like also Alice Steenland said in her presentation earlier, it's even more important now that we actually act. This is the decade to deliver, especially when it comes to the UN global development goals. And so I definitely think, the time is now to actually start using these tools as much as possible to contribute to a more sustainable world.
And in one of the other panels, you talked about kids. And I think talking about sustainability in this panel, I think the kids deserve it, that we take these steps. The goals are there for a reason. We need to do stuff differently. So it's good to be talked about purpose also. It's a good purpose to actually be able to contribute to these sustainability goals with something that is quite practical. It will create that leap that we want to, if all people and businesses start to take advantage of what's out there.
Yeah, definitely. Agree. All right. I know time is running out. I'm very grateful that you joined the panel. Thank you very much. Thank you, Annelie.
Thank you.
It's been great having you. So I think we could discuss this topic for hours and hours, but we need to be mindful of time. And so I'll thanks again for joining, and hope to see you guys soon and continue our discussions on how to accelerate sustainable innovation.
I also want to thank all of you that are in this panel now, all the speakers we've had all through the day, and a big thank you to you, Rea.
Thank you.
Great work with the being the moderator. Exactly.
All right. Perfect.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Have a nice day. Talk to you soon.
Thank you and take care.
Bye.
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 Bye.